So today we're going to be talking about encryption and how your data stays safe. So what is encryption? Encryption is a process that scrambles your data to make it unreadable to other people. Only someone with the correct key or password or whatever they need to read it can unscramble it. It protects messages, files, and personal info from unwanted access. And it's used in everything from texting to online shopping. Think of it as like those puzzles where you have a word, maybe it's scrambled up, you have to unscramble it. That's basically what encryption is at its core. Encryption is just some text that you send or some password, some piece of information, and that information is scrambled, and you need to know how to unscramble it. So let's say you have the key to unscramble it, that will give you access to the information. Why does it matter? So, like we said, it'll keep your private data safe from hackers and identity thieves. As long as they don't know how to unscramble it, and it's going to be hard to unscramble, then it's going to keep your data safe from them. It also prevents companies or third parties from spying on your activity. It protects financial transactions and sensitive messages, and helps ensure trust and privacy in the digital world. So here are some everyday examples of encryption. The first one, a lot of people know about. WhatsApp is a good example, iMessage as well. They use end-to-end encryption, which is a type of encryption I believe we'll talk about later on, to protect all of your conversations. So when you send a message through WhatsApp, what is going through that internal pipeline that WhatsApp uses is encrypted. So if someone stops it along that pipeline, and I don't know if this is technologically accurate, I'm just saying that, just to give you an analogy, if someone stops it in the middle, they can't really see or they can't decipher what's going on. So even WhatsApp can't read your messages. Online banking apps also use encryption to secure logins and transfers. Websites with HTTPS use encryption to protect your browsing. And file storage services also encrypt your documents and photos. I know I had an example where I had USB flash drive, and to access some files on that flash drive, you can put it behind a barrier. So that's encrypting it, and then unless I had the key, I couldn't access those files. So that's another example of encryption. So how does it work? Your data is converted into a scrambled format using a special key. Once it is in this format, only someone with the matching key can decode it. Think of it like locking information in a digital safe. Without the key, the data is unreadable. It'll just be like gobbledygook or whatever. You can't read the message if you don't have the key to read it. It's just random text, and it protects you from other users. So here's some types of encryption. Symmetric encryption uses the same key to lock and unlock the data. So you have a key that locks it, that scrambles it up, and then one that unlocks it or unscrambles it. Asymmetric encryption uses two keys, a public one and a private one. Both methods ultimately keep your data secure, but they're used in different ways. Modern systems typically combine both for more enhanced protection. So here's a diagram on the right. So what is end-to-end encryption? This is a very popular form of encryption, something that, let's say, WhatsApp uses, for example. In end-to-end encryption, only the sender, so that could be me, and if the receiver is my parents, only me and my parents can see it. No one in that pipeline where it's being sent, the internet service provider, they can't see it. Further along that, WhatsApp can't see it. Only the sender and receiver can access the content, even if the app provider can't access your messages and calls. It's used by services like Signal, WhatsApp, and FaceTime, and it offers one of the highest levels of communication privacy. If you're sending a message, you probably don't want other people to see it, whatever the message may be. If it's a good message, if it's mean, if it's bad, if it's happy, whatever it is, probably want it to be shown to the intended audience. So that's what it'll make sure. Where you'll see encryption in action. When logging into secure websites, there might be a padlock icon, so as you can see on the right of the screen, padlock. Sending encrypted messages or mails with services like Proton Mail. Using a VPN. A VPN is sort of like an encryptor. It is basically an encryptor, but instead of just encrypting like a text message or your password, it encrypts all of your data, and all of your internet traffic is being encrypted. So that will make sure no one can see your encrypted, no one can see your data. And saving files on encrypted USB devices or cloud storage. So how to tell if something is encrypted? Look for HTTPS in your browser's address bar. That's a type of, I don't know what exactly you call it, header maybe? It's basically the address bar. It's in the address bar, HTTP or HTTPS. HTTPS means it has encryption. So that's why people say that go to websites with HTTPS over just HTTP. Check if apps directly mention and then encryption. Like in WhatsApp, if you go on WhatsApp and you look at a message, a conversation, sometimes at the top it'll say like a tiny like check mark and then end-to-end encrypted. Some tools also have encryption toggles or alerts when it's active. And if you're unsure, research the app or service before using it for sensitive info. You don't have to have encryption on anything. It's not something that's required on the internet, but it is better to have it, especially on those important platforms. Passwords and encryption. Strong passwords protect encrypted data from being accessed. So there's two stages here. There's whatever you send, whatever you receive. That could be an example of encryption. But for you to be able to decode that, you need a password or a PIN or a key. So that's separate of whatever you're encoding or decoding. So you could have like a message, let's say, hi, how are you? That's a message. If that's being encrypted, you need something to access that when it's encrypted. Or the sender needs something. The receiver, the person who receives it, needs something. Normally, if they're just logged into their WhatsApp account, they can see it directly, but that's just an example. Strong passwords or PINs may be needed to protect that encrypted data from being accessed. Encryption is useless if someone guesses or steals your password. So even if you encrypt something, if they also have the key to unencrypt your password, to decrypt it, then what's the use of encrypting it in the first place? Use two-factor authentication for extra protection. We've talked about this a lot on Cyber Seniors. And password managers store encrypted login details securely. We've talked about, I believe, Google's stock password manager. We've talked about a lot of other ones. A lot of password managers use it to encrypt your passwords, but then you need one like master password to even get into the password manager. So that's the thing that you have to really remember and try not to give to anyone else, because that's what you need to access. That's what you need to access all of your other encrypted whatever passwords. So here are some common myths about encryption. A myth is encryption is only for tech experts. You are not doing the bulk of the work, honestly. The site or the website, the app, whoever designed whatever service you're using, they're doing the bulk of the effort by coding it in. So all you have to do is maybe switch on a toggle, maybe turn on enter encryption. Maybe you have to have a PIN to unlock it, but really you're not doing much. So it doesn't need a smart person. You don't need to have any sort of imagined intelligence to use it. It's pretty easy to use. I have nothing to hide. Privacy is for everyone, not just criminals. There's always a context where maybe you're sending a message to someone in your family, a personal matter. You don't want other people to see it. You don't want WhatsApp to be able to see it. You don't want it to get hacked and other people to have it. Even if you're not doing anything like bad, like shady, you still don't want everyone to see all of your messages. We talked about like language use, how like people might use different types of language when talking to different people. It's sort of along those lines where, you're not doing anything bad. Maybe you're just sending them maybe like a greeting or something, or you're talking about something important related to work or school, but you don't want everyone on the internet to access that. You only want it to go to the intended audience. Encryption makes devices slow. Really, modern day systems handle it pretty easily. Your phone is already extremely powerful. So there is really it's not really like going to slow down your computer or anything like that. If you do have like a really bad machine, I don't think it's going to do much anyway. It's not going to take up much bandwidth. Don't let these myths stop you from protecting your data. Always search up the facts. Maybe fact check something if you do have another myth, or if you have something that you doubt. Like let's say someone makes up a theory that, I don't know, encryption is like, it helps your passwords being hacked or whatever it is. Just search it up, fact check it, use Google. So don't believe in all the myths. So what happens without encryption? We've talked about what encryption is, why it's important. What happens without it? Hackers can intercept emails, messages, payment info, or more personal information. I will go off on a tangent a bit. So there's a company called Nothing. They make phones, Nothing phones. Maybe some of the volunteers, or maybe Summer has heard of it, but I don't know about all the seniors. But there's a company, it's a pretty new company, it's been a few years, I believe. So that company had basically this thing between blue bubbles and green bubbles. It might not apply in Canada as much, but in the US at least, it's a big thing where if you send a message from an iPhone to an Android, it has a green bubble, and people don't like those green bubbles. They prefer blue bubbles. It's kind of a dumb like color debate, but it is what it is. And that's why Apple's making a lot of money. People buy iPhones just because of that and all the other ecosystem features. So anyway, Nothing was a company, and they were a phone company, an Android phone company, who made a way to bypass that blue bubble and green bubble system and give you all of the features, the bells and whistles that come with having an iPhone and texting to an iPhone. So what they were doing is they were using a MacBook for that. So basically, what you do is you send your message to the MacBook, and the MacBook's somewhere along the pipeline, and then it kind of masks your device's identity to pretend to the other person that it's an iPhone. So I don't know if you're catching along with this, but it takes your message from the Android, sends it to a MacBook somewhere in the middle of I don't know whatever country you're in, and then that MacBook kind of masks your identity, and then it goes to the other person as an iPhone. So they can text to you as they're texting an iPhone with all of the image benefits, green bubbles, blue bubbles, whatever, and all of the typing indicators. So it's better texting, but it's going through the MacBook and then it's covering up your device's identity as an Android. So they were actually caught for not having any encryption. So people quickly found out that those MacBooks, you're sending the message, it's just plain text. They're not nothing is happening in the background to protect hackers from doing anything. So it's going in plain text form to the MacBook, going in plain text form. So there was a company that was kind of caught red-handed where they didn't put in those proper safety measures. So they were kind of their business, like whatever the idea they had about doing that, that kind of fell apart. They lost that partnership, and a lot of people stopped buying their products, even though it's still popular. So encryption, anyway, the point of my story was that encryption is very important, and it's not a good look for companies as well if they don't use encryption. It can be very dangerous. Like, let's say that MacBook in the middle of the process got hacked, wherever that MacBook is, in whatever country it is. If it's all being routed to that MacBook and routed out of it, if that MacBooks get hacked, then all of your messages are open since they're passing through that one point. So that's why encryption is very important. So also public Wi-Fi can be dangerous without any encryption in place. Just generally, lack of encryption puts your identity and privacy at risk. So pros and cons of encryption. Pro, it protects your personal information and makes it unreadable for people who don't have that key. Strengthens your privacy in communication, banking, browsing, etc. The con is that if you forget your password or lose your key to access that encrypted data, then you might not be able to access your own data. This is not a big concern in like WhatsApp. Like for WhatsApp, it just automatically does encryption. But if it's another service that asks you for a PIN to unlock that encrypted message, then that might be a problem if you forget that PIN. That's a bigger problem. Also, encrypted data can be difficult for law enforcement to access during investigations. But again, as long as you're not doing anything bad, then that doesn't really apply to you. Encryption in the future. Encryption will become even more important with new smart devices. Pretty much everything around us, honestly, is smart nowadays. You can get smart light bulbs, smart blinds, whatever. So encryption is important, especially if you're sending sensitive personal messages between those devices. New technology like quantum computing, which may be on the horizon, may change or challenge all encryption. Experts are already developing stronger future-proof encryption methods. And learning about encryption today, just knowing the basics, like what we covered in this presentation, I'll do like a quick overview. Encryption is a tool that basically masks up your data, jumbles up that data. So when it goes from one place to another, people in the middle of that pipeline, if someone hacks the device, they can't see it. So as long as you know that point, honestly, then it's good enough because it's always changing and you'll always have to catch up if you understand. So at least understanding the basics of how it works helps. So here's how to get started. Enable device encryption on your phone or laptop settings. Depends on the app. I don't think there's any like enable encryption on your phone settings app, but it depends on like the specific app you're using, let's say WhatsApp or Telegram. Use messaging apps with built-in encryption features. WhatsApp is a good one, like we talked about. Only use websites with HTTPS when entering personal information, and install security tools that include encryption features. If you're using a banking application, especially if it's third party, is by someone else, then make sure it has some form of encryption. So in conclusion, encryption protects your messages, money, and identity. It's easy to use even if you're not tech savvy. Often it's just remembering a PIN, maybe writing it down somewhere, or it's turning the feature on. Look for HTTPS in websites. That means they're encrypted apps and strong passwords. Also, privacy matters. Encryption helps you keep things yours in control. So it's not about like doing something right or wrong. It's more about if you send something to someone else, you don't want other people seeing it, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whatever it is. So anyway, that was the presentation.